You're probably listening to this because your life feels full, not just busy, full to the point where there's no quiet space left. Your days are packed. Your mind is always one step ahead. And even when you rest, something inside keeps moving. Most people think this means they don't have time to meditate. They say, "I'll start when things slow down, when work is lighter, when life is less demanding." But here's the uncomfortable truth. Life rarely slows down on its own. And the mind that is always busy doesn't suddenly become calm just because the schedule changes. If you're too busy to stop, this is exactly for you. Because meditation is not something you add after life is under control. It's something that helps you live while things are still moving. This is not about sitting perfectly still. It's not about emptying your mind. And it's not about becoming someone different. It's about learning how to be present inside the life you already have. Right now. You don't need to pause the video. You don't need to change posture. You don't need to prepare. Just notice one thing. You are breathing, and you are aware that you are listening. That's enough to begin. If your mind wanders while listening, that's normal. If you feel restless, tired, or distracted, that's normal too. Nothing here requires effort. Nothing needs to be done correctly. This is not a guided meditation you need to follow. It's a conversation with awareness. One that can happen while you're sitting, walking, or simply listening. For the next while, you don't need to escape your life. You don't need to fix it. You only need to stop running from this moment. Because even in the middle of a busy life, presence is not far away. It's already here. And that's where we'll begin. Most people believe that being busy means being productive. You say that if your calendar is full, your life must be meaningful. But pause for a moment. How much of your day do you actually experience from the moment you wake up? Your mind is already somewhere else, checking messages, thinking about deadlines, replaying conversations, planning the next task before the current one is even finished. You may be moving constantly, but inside, something is frozen. In Buddhist understanding, suffering does not come from action itself. It comes from action without awareness, from living on autopilot. A busy mind is not a powerful mind. It is a fragmented one. You switch tasks every few minutes. You scroll while eating. You listen while preparing your reply. Your body is here, but your attention is scattered across 10 different places. This creates a very specific kind of exhaustion. Not physical tiredness, mental fatigue. And the problem is not that you are doing too much. The problem is that nothing is being done fully. When attention is divided, satisfaction disappears. Even pleasant moments lose their depth. Rest no longer feels restorative. Sleep does not truly reset the mind. From a Buddhist perspective, this is not a moral failure. It is simply conditioning. The modern world trains the mind to rush ahead of the present moment,
to always anticipate the next thing. And when the mind cannot rest in now, begins to feel unsafe. That unease shows up quietly, as anxiety, as irritability, as the sense that something is always missing. People often say, "I'll slow down when things calm down." But life rarely calms down on its own. Without awareness,
busyness multiplies itself. Meditation begins by seeing this clearly, and not judging it, not trying to fix it. Just noticing how rarely we are actually here. And this realization is not meant to discourage you. It is meant to free you. Because if suffering came from being busy, there would be no solution. But if suffering comes from the absence of presence, then even the busiest life still contains a doorway. Right here, in this moment, have you noticed something strange about the mind no matter how much you complete? It rarely feels complete. You finish one task, and before the relief arrives, another thought appears. Something else to do, something else to fix, something else to prepare for. The mind is always leaning forward. In Buddhist teaching, this is called restlessness, not physical movement, but mental momentum. The mind is conditioned to believe that peace exists after the next thing is done, after the email is sent, after the deadline passes, after the problem is solved. But when that moment arrives, the mind immediately creates another after. This is why the mind never feels finished, because it was never trained to stop. Modern life rewards anticipation, planning, optimizing, staying one step ahead, so the mind learns to live in the future. Even while the body remains in the present, and when the mind is always ahead, the present moment begins to feel like an obstacle, something to get through, something in the way. This creates subtle tension. You may not notice it at first, but it accumulates. The shoulders tighten. The breath becomes shallow. The jaw clenches without permission. The body feels like it is always preparing, but never arriving. From a Buddhist perspective, this is not a flaw, it is a habit. The mind does what it has practiced repeatedly, and most people have practiced rushing for years. Meditation does not force the mind to stop thinking. It reveals this habit gently. You begin to see how the mind jumps ahead, again and again, even when nothing urgent is happening. This seeing is already a form of freedom. Because once you notice the forward pull, you are no longer completely carried by it. For a brief moment, the mind pauses, not because it was controlled, but because it was understood. And in that pause, something unfamiliar appears. A sense of enoughness. Not because everything is done, but because nothing is missing right now. This is why meditation is not about finishing the mind. It is about stepping out of the illusion that the mind must finish something before you are allowed to rest. That rest is not at the end of your to-do list. It is available in the moment you stop chasing the next one. The mind loves one word more than any other. Later. Later, I'll rest. Later, I'll breathe. Later, I'll take care of myself. Later feels responsible. It sounds mature, but quietly, it keeps peace just out of reach. The promise of later creates a subtle delay in the heart. A sense that this moment is not enough, that something must change before you are allowed to relax. In Buddhist understanding, this is a form of attachment, not to an object, but to a future state. The mind believes calm exists somewhere ahead. And as long as it believes that, it cannot settle here. Even when nothing urgent is happening, the body stays on alert. The nervous system never fully powers down. This is why many people feel restless even on vacation, or anxious on days with nothing scheduled. The habit of postponing presence follows you everywhere. You might recognize it in small ways. Standing in line, checking your phone, waiting for food, scrolling. Sitting quietly, reaching for distraction. The mind is uncomfortable with arriving, because arrival means there is nothing left to chase. And chasing has become familiar. Meditation does not argue with the mind. It does not demand that you give up plans or goals. It simply asks one question. What if peace is not later? What if it is only ever available now? This question can feel threatening at first, because it removes the excuse to delay.
It removes the story that life must change before you can feel okay. But it also removes a great burden. If peace is not dependent on future conditions, then it does not require rearranging your life. It requires a different relationship with time. In meditation, you begin to notice how often the mind leans toward later, and how rarely it allows itself to stay. Each time you gently return attention to the breath, to the body, to the present sensation, you are interrupting the habit of postponement. Not forcefully, not perfectly, just enough to remind the mind that it is safe to be here. And slowly, something shifts. The present moment stops feeling like a hallway leading somewhere else. It becomes a place you can stand. Not forever, just for now. And for a busy mind, that is more than enough.
When people try meditation for the first time, they often say the same thing. I can't do this. My mind won't stop. This feels uncomfortable. They assume something is wrong. But nothing is wrong. Stillness feels uncomfortable because the mind is no longer being distracted. For most of your life, movement has been used as relief. Tasks, noise, screens. When those disappear, the mind is left alone with itself. And at first, it doesn't like that. In Buddhist understanding, this discomfort is not failure. It is exposure. You are seeing the mind without its usual escapes. Thoughts become louder. Emotions feel closer. Sensations are harder to ignore. This can feel overwhelming, especially for a busy mind that is used to staying ahead of feeling. But this discomfort is temporary. The mind is reacting to unfamiliar territory, like a room that has been dark for years, suddenly exposed to light. At first, the eyes squint. Everything feels too bright and too much, but nothing harmful is happening. The same is true with stillness. The mind begins to surface what it has been carrying. Unfinished conversations, unexpressed emotions, tension stored in the body. Meditation does not create these things, it reveals them. This is why trying to force calm backfires. Resistance adds another layer of tension. Instead, meditation invites a different approach, allowing the restlessness, allowing the discomfort, allowing the moment to be exactly as it is. When the mind realizes that it does not need to escape, something softens. The breath deepens on its own. The body releases without instruction. Stillness begins to feel less threatening, not because the mind became silent, but because it stopped fighting itself. This is an important shift. Meditation is not about liking stillness. It is about trusting it, trusting that nothing needs to be fixed right now, trusting that you can remain present without being overwhelmed. For a busy person, this trust does not come instantly. It grows through brief moments, seconds at a time, and each time you stay, even when it feels uncomfortable, the mind learns something new. That stillness is not emptiness. It is safety without distraction. Most people think they are resting when they stop working. But stopping activity is not the same as resting the mind. Scrolling is not rest. Binge-watching is not rest. Even sleep does not always restore if the mind never lets go. Avoidance feels like relief, but it keeps the mind busy. It replaces one form of stimulation with another. Rest, in the Buddhist sense, is something very different. Rest means allowing the mind to be exactly where it is without pushing it away. Avoidance says, I don't want to feel this. Rest says, it's okay to be here. This distinction matters, especially for busy people. When discomfort appears or the instinct is to escape, check the phone, open another tab, stay occupied. But every time you escape, the mind learns that stillness is unsafe. Meditation gently reverses this training. Instead of leaving the moment, you stay. Not forcing calm, not demanding silence, just staying. This staying is subtle, but powerful. It teaches the nervous system that nothing bad happens when you are not distracted. That you can feel tension without collapsing. That you can notice thought without following it. Over time,
The body responds. The shoulders soften. The breath slows, the jaw releases. Not because you commanded it, but because it no longer needs armor. This is why meditation is often misunderstood. People think it is another technique to achieve something. But meditation is the opposite. It is the practice of not escaping.
for a busy mind, this may feel counterintuitive. Doing less feels risky, but what you discover slowly is that rest does not make you less capable. It makes you more present. And presence is what allows action without exhaustion. When the mind learns the difference between avoiding and resting, life changes quietly. Busyness no longer controls you. Stillness no longer threatens you. And meditation stops being something you have to make time for. It becomes something that gives time back. There is one belief that stops more people from meditating than anything else. The belief that meditation requires time.
Long time, quiet time, perfect time. People imagine meditation as something separate from real life. Something you do after everything else is finished. Calm room, an empty schedule. Nothing demanding your attention. And because life rarely looks like that, meditation keeps getting postponed. In Buddhist understanding,
This belief is the misunderstanding. Meditation was never meant to be added to life. It was meant to be practiced inside life. The idea that meditation requires time comes from confusing form with function. Yes, meditation can be done sitting quietly, but that is not its essence. The essence of meditation is awareness. And awareness does not require extra minutes in your day. It requires only one thing: presence. If you can notice a breath, you are already meditating. If you can feel your body sitting in a chair, you are already meditating. The mind resists this idea because it sounds too simple. The mind prefers effort, structure, achievement. It wants meditation to be another task to complete, but meditation dissolves the need to complete. This is why busy people struggle with meditation, not because they lack discipline, but because they approach meditation with the same mindset they use for work. Trying to succeed, trying to get somewhere. From a Buddhist perspective, that effort itself becomes the obstacle. Meditation begins when you stop trying to add something and start noticing what is already here. The breath you are already breathing, the tension you are already holding, the thoughts that are already moving. Nothing new needs to be created. When this is understood, meditation stops feeling like a burden. It becomes accessible, portable, immediate. You no longer ask, "When will I have time to meditate?" You begin to ask, "Am I aware right now?" And that question can be answered in any moment, even the busiest one. Many people sit down to meditate with a single goal: to calm the mind. They close their eyes, focus on the breath, and almost immediately, the mind becomes louder. Thoughts multiply, memories appear, worries line up one after another. This surprises people, because meditation is supposed to make the mind quiet, but the opposite seems to happen. In Buddhist understanding, this is not a problem. It is a misunderstanding of how the mind works. The mind does not become noisy because you are meditating. It becomes noisy because you have stopped distracting it. For most of the day, The mind is kept busy by movement tasks, conversations, screens. When those are removed, the mind finally has space to express what it has been carrying all along. Trying to calm the mind at this point is like telling a river to stop flowing. The effort itself creates resistance, and resistance creates more tension. This is why forcing calm often backfires.
The more you try to control thought, the stronger it becomes. From a Buddhist perspective, peace does not come from silence. It comes from allowance. When you stop fighting the mind, something unexpected happens. The thoughts are still there, but they no longer feel threatening. They come, they stay briefly, and they leave like sounds in a room. Meditation is not about making thoughts disappear. It is about changing your relationship with them. Instead of saying, "This shouldn't be happening," you begin to say, "This is what is happening." That shift is subtle, but powerful. The nervous system relaxes when it no longer needs to defend. The breath deepens without being controlled. The body softens without instruction. Stillness becomes easier, not because the mind was forced into calm, but because it stopped fighting itself. Calm arrives as a side effect, not as an achievement. For busy people, this understanding changes everything. Meditation stops being another task to succeed at. It becomes a space where nothing needs to be improved, just noticed, just allowed, just here. Most people believe meditation requires doing something special, a technique, a posture, a method to apply correctly. But in Buddhist understanding, meditation begins much earlier than technique. It begins with awareness. Awareness is not something you create. It is something you notice. Right now, as you listen to these words, there is already awareness present. You are aware of sound, aware of your body, aware of thoughts appearing and disappearing. Nothing extra needs to be added. This is where many busy people misunderstand meditation. They think awareness is the result they are trying to reach. In reality, awareness is the starting point they are overlooking. You do not meditate to become aware. You meditate by noticing that you already are. When this is seen clearly, meditation stops feeling demanding. There is no pressure to hold attention perfectly, no need to block thoughts, no requirement to reach a special state. Awareness simply rests on whatever is happening. A sound appears. Awareness knows it. A thought arises. Awareness knows it. A sensation shifts in the body. Awareness knows it. Nothing more is required. From a Buddhist perspective, suffering is not caused by experience itself. It is caused by the habit of reacting without awareness, grasping what feels pleasant, resisting what feels uncomfortable, getting lost in what appears in the mind. Awareness interrupts this habit naturally, not by force, but by clarity. When awareness is present, thoughts lose some of their grip. Emotions move without overwhelming. Sensations are felt without being exaggerated. Life continues, but the struggle around it softens. This is why meditation works even in short moments. Not because those moments are long enough to fix anything, but because awareness does not need time to function. It only needs recognition. A single conscious breath is not a small meditation. It is complete. A moment of noticing tension in the shoulders is not incomplete practice. It is full practice. For a busy person, this understanding is liberating. Meditation no longer competes with your schedule. It fits inside it. Between tasks, between words, between breaths, you stop asking, "Did I meditate enough today?" And you begin asking a quieter question. Was I aware? Even briefly,
That question changes the relationship with practice. Meditation becomes less about discipline and more about remembering to be present, remembering that awareness is always closer than effort. And once that is understood, the idea of being too busy to meditate slowly loses its meaning. When people hear the word meditation, they often imagine stillness, sitting quietly, eyes closed, body unmoving. And because their lives rarely allow that, they conclude meditation is unrealistic. But meditation was never limited to a posture. In Buddhist understanding, stillness is not about the body. It is about the relationship between attention and experience. You can be completely still and deeply restless, and you can be moving while the mind is settled. Meditation begins wherever awareness meets action. Walking to your car, washing dishes, waiting in line, listening to someone speak. These moments are not obstacles to meditation. They are opportunities. The mistake is believing meditation requires withdrawal from life. In reality, meditation is learning how to stay present inside life. For busy people, this distinction matters because it removes the pressure to make space for practice. Instead, practice is woven into what is already happening. You do not need to stop walking to practice awareness. You notice the contact of your feet with the ground. You do not need silence to meditate. You notice sound as sound, without judging it as distraction. You do not need to pause life. You notice life as it unfolds. This kind of meditation feels different at first. It does not produce dramatic calm. It does not feel like escape, but it builds stability quietly. From a Buddhist perspective, awareness during movement is often more transformative than awareness during stillness, because it meets the mind where it usually gets lost. Busy minds do not struggle because they cannot sit still. They struggle because they are never fully present while moving. Meditation without sitting teaches the mind how to stay, not by stopping activity, but by stopping the habit of leaving the moment. Over time, something subtle changes. Actions become simpler. Attention becomes less scattered. You begin to do one thing at a time, even when the pace is fast. This is not slowing down your life. It is removing unnecessary friction. When meditation is understood this way, it no longer competes with a responsibility.
It supports it. Work becomes clearer, listening becomes deeper, rest becomes more effective, and sitting meditation, when it does happen, it feels less intimidating. Because presence is no longer something you only access in silence. It is something you already recognize throughout the day. This is why meditation is not a special activity reserved for quiet moments. It is a way of inhabiting each moment more fully, whether you are still or moving, alone or surrounded by noise. One of the quiet reasons people give up on meditation is disappointment. They try to sit longer. They try to do it properly. And when life interrupts, they feel like they have failed. But from a Buddhist perspective, meditation has never been about duration. It has always been about continuity. The mind does not change because you meditate for a long time once. It changes because you return again and again, even briefly, especially briefly. A single minute of awareness, practiced daily, reshapes the mind more deeply than one long session practiced occasionally. This is because the mind learns through repetition, not intensity. Busy people often underestimate the power of small consistency. They think, if I can't do it properly, it's not worth doing. But this belief comes from the same achievement mindset that meditation is meant to soften. Meditation works not because it is impressive,
but because it is repeatable. When practice is short, it becomes approachable. When it is approachable, it becomes stable. And when it is stable, it begins to work quietly in the background of your life. From a Buddhist understanding, the goal is not to escape distraction forever. The goal is to recognize distraction sooner and return more gently. Each return strengthens awareness. Each return matters. This is why short practices fit busy lives so well. They lower resistance. They reduce guilt. They remove the pressure to perform. You stop measuring meditation by how long you sat and start measuring it by how often you remembered. Did you remember to breathe before opening your email? Did you remember to feel your body while walking? Did you remember to pause for even a moment before reacting? Those moments are not fragments of practice. They are practice. Consistency builds trust. Trust builds ease. And ease allows awareness to stay without effort. This is the foundation needed before any technique, any posture, any longer session. Without it, meditation feels like another obligation. With it, meditation becomes something that supports your life instead of competing with it. As Chuang Tzu comes to a close, one understanding should be clear. Meditation does not ask you to slow your life down. It asks you to stop abandoning the present moment while life is moving. And that skill is built not through long effort, but through gentle, repeated return. Again and again, in ordinary moments, exactly as they are. At this point, meditation no longer needs explanation. It needs experience. So we begin with the smallest possible practice. One breath. Not a minute, not a session, just a single breath. This matters, especially for busy people, because the mind often resists anything that sounds like commitment. One breath feels safe. It does not threaten your schedule. It does not demand effort. You are already breathing. Nothing needs to be added. Bring your attention to the next inhale. Not controlling it, not deepening it, just noticing the air entering the body. Where do you feel it most clearly? The nose, the chest, the belly. Then notice the exhale. Again, without changing it. Simply knowing that it is leaving. That is the entire practice. If the mind wanders during that breath, then nothing has gone wrong. Noticing that it wandered is already awareness. The moment you return attention to the breath, even briefly, the practice is complete. From a Buddhist perspective, this single breath contains the whole path. Awareness, letting go, returning. You are not training the breath. You are training recognition of presence. This is why one breath is enough. It interrupts the momentum of rushing. It brings the mind out of anticipation and back into direct experience. Even for a moment, the body and mind arrive in the same place. For busy people, this breath can be taken anywhere. Before answering a message, before standing up, before reacting emotionally. It does not require privacy or silence. It requires only remembering. Over time, something important happens. The mind begins to trust that it does not need a long ritual to reset. One breath becomes a doorway, not to relaxation, but to clarity. And clarity changes how you move through the next moment. This practice is not meant to replace longer meditation. It prepares the ground for it. By lowering resistance, by removing the idea that meditation must be done properly. You are not practicing to become calm. You are practicing to notice. One breath noticed fully is not a small act. It is a complete return. And when returns happen often enough, even briefly, the busiest life begins to feel less scattered.
Not because life slows down, but because you stop leaving it.
Most tension in daily life is not dramatic. It is subtle, quiet, accumulated, and because it builds slowly, it often goes unnoticed until the body feels exhausted or the mind becomes irritable. This is where the body check comes in. It does not require sitting down. It does not require silence. It takes about 30 seconds. And it works precisely because it is simple. Begin by bringing attention to the shoulders. Notice whether they are lifted, tightened, or pulled forward. You do not need to force them to relax. Just noticing is enough. Often, awareness alone allows them to drop slightly. Then bring attention to the jaw. Is it clenched?
Are the teeth touching? Many people hold tension here without realizing it. Let the jaw hang naturally, even for a moment. Next, notice the area around the eyes and forehead. Is there effort there? Softening does not mean forcing the muscles to relax. It means allowing them to stop working unnecessarily. Finally, bring attention to the belly.
Is it held in? Is the breath shallow again? No need to change anything. Simply feel the movement of breathing as it is. That is the entire practice. From a Buddhist perspective, the body is often the first place stress appears, and at the last place we look. The mind rushes ahead, but the body stays honest. When awareness returns to the body, the nervous system receives a signal of safety. This is why the body check is especially effective for busy people. It interrupts unconscious tension without requiring time away from activity. You can do it while standing, sitting, or walking. No one around you needs to know. The goal is not perfect relaxation, it is recognition. Each time you notice tension without judging it, you are teaching the body that it does not need to stay guarded. Over time, this reduces baseline stress. The body learns to release sooner instead of holding on all day. This practice pairs naturally with the one breath practice. One breath brings the mind back. The body check brings awareness down into the body. Together, they re-establish presence quickly. For many people, these 30 seconds are more restorative than a break filled with distraction. Because rest is not the absence of activity. It is the absence of resistance, and when the body is no longer resisting, even briefly, the mind follows. Most of your stress does not come from the tasks themselves. It comes from how quickly you move from one thing to the next without stopping. You finish one action and immediately begin another. An email ends and a message begins. A conversation ends and a decision follows. There is no space in between. This is where tension accumulates. The practice here is simple. It is not a break. It is a pause of 3 breaths between tasks, before opening the next app, before standing up, before responding. Stop for a moment. Feel your feet on the ground or your body in the chair. Take one breath, then another, then one more. Nothing else needs to happen. From a Buddhist perspective, this pause interrupts momentum. It breaks the habit of rushing forward without awareness. And when momentum is broken, the mind has a chance to reset. This practice is powerful because it fits naturally into a busy day. You are not adding time. You are inserting awareness into transitions that already exist. Most people underestimate transitions, but transitions are where the mind is most vulnerable. It is neither fully engaged nor fully at rest. It drifts, it anticipates, it carries tension forward. Pausing between tasks prevents this carryover. You finish one thing, you let it end, then you begin the next thing cleanly. Over time, this changes how the day feels.
Instead of one long blur, the day becomes a series of complete moments. Each task has a beginning, a middle, and an end. This clarity reduces fatigue. From the outside,
Nothing changes. You still get things done. You may even move just as quickly. But internally, the experience is different. There is less urgency, less pressure, less mental noise. This pause is not meant to slow you down. It is meant to keep you from being dragged forward unconsciously. For busy people, this practice often becomes the most impactful because it addresses the real problem, not lack of time, but lack of space. And space does not require hours. It requires intention. 3 breaths, a brief pause, a clean transition. Practice consistently. This becomes a form of meditation that follows you everywhere, not confined to quiet moments, but embedded in the rhythm of your life. And when awareness lives in the spaces between things, even the busiest schedule begins to feel more manageable. Many people believe meditation only happens when nothing else is happening. But in real life, nothing is rarely happening. This is why daily activities become the most honest place to practice. Meditation does not require you to stop doing things. It requires you to stop leaving while doing them. Walking is a simple example. Most of the time, when you walk, your body moves, but the mind is already somewhere else. Planning, remembering, anticipating. Walking meditation begins when attention returns to the movement itself. The contact of the feet with the ground. The shift of weight, the rhythm of steps. You are not slowing down. You are arriving. Eating is another opportunity. Often, meals are rushed or paired with screens. You eat without tasting. In meditation, eating becomes noticing. The texture of food,
The temperature, the act of chewing. Even a few mindful bites are enough to reconnect attention with the present moment. Listening may be the most overlooked form of meditation. When someone speaks, the mind usually prepares a response. It judges. It interrupts internally. Meditation and listening means letting go of that preparation.
hearing the words fully, feeling the tone, staying with the moment instead of rehearsing the next sentence. From a Buddhist perspective, these practices matter because they meet awareness where it is most often lost. Not in silence, but in activity. Not in retreat, but in relationship. Busy people often assume they cannot practice because their lives are full. In reality, fullness provides more chances to practice. Every repeated activity becomes a reminder. Walking, eating, listening, even waiting. The key is not to turn every moment into a task. You are not trying to be mindful all the time. That would become exhausting. You are choosing moments.
Simple ones, ordinary ones. When awareness is brought into daily activity, something shifts. Life feels less fragmented. You stop rushing through moments to get to the next one. Experience becomes more continuous. This does not make life slower. It makes it clearer, and clarity reduces strain. Over time, these small practices change how you relate to stillness as well. Sitting meditation no longer feels separate or demanding. It feels familiar because awareness has already been practiced throughout the day. This is how meditation becomes sustainable, not by removing yourself from life, but by inhabiting it more fully. And for a busy life, that is the only way it truly works. There will be days when you forget everything you just heard. You rush from one thing to the next. You react automatically. You reach the end of the day and realize you did not pause even once. This is not a mistake. This
is the practice. Many people believe meditation fails the moment they forget to do it. From a Buddhist perspective, forgetting is not failure. Forgetting is inevitable. What matters is what happens when you remember. The moment you realize, I've been lost, awareness has already returned. You do not need to fix the past hour. You do not need to restart the day. You simply notice this moment, and that noticing is meditation. Busy people are especially hard on themselves. They expect consistency without interruption, but the mind does not work that way. The mind wanders. It always has. Practice is not preventing wandering. Practice is recognizing it sooner and returning more gently. Each return strengthens awareness, even if it happens only once in a day. This is why guilt has no place in meditation. Guilt tightens the mind. It turns practice into obligation. When meditation becomes something you should have done, it loses its power. Instead of judging yourself for forgetting, you acknowledge it calmly.
I forgot. And now I'm back. Nothing more is required. From a Buddhist understanding, this cycle of losing and returning is not a problem to solve. It is the path itself. Awareness grows not by staying present forever, but by learning how to come back without resistance. This perspective changes how busy people relate to
Practice. Meditation no longer depends on discipline alone. It depends on kindness toward the mind's natural movement. Some days you will remember many times. Some days only once. Both are enough. What matters is that the practice remains light, portable, forgiving. When meditation is treated this way, it stops competing with life. It adapts to it. Even the busiest schedule cannot erase awareness completely. It can only distract it temporarily. And each time you remember, even after forgetting, you reinforce something essential. That presence is not fragile. It does not disappear because you were busy. It waits patiently for recognition.
As Chuang 3 comes to a close, one thing should be clear. You do not practice meditation by being perfect. You practice by returning again and again, exactly as you are. That is how meditation survives in a busy life. And that is how it quietly changes one. At a certain point, something unexpected happens.
You begin to practice. You pause more often. You notice the breath, the body, the spaces between tasks. And instead of feeling calmer, the mind pushes back. It says, "This is a waste of time. This won't help. I should be doing something else." This resistance confuses people. They assume meditation is failing. But from a Buddhist perspective, resistance is not failure. It is a sign that practice is touching something real. The mind has been trained for speed, for urgency, for constant stimulation. Slowing down threatens that training, not because slowing is harmful, but because it is unfamiliar. When momentum weakens, the mind loses
one of its favorite tools, distraction. And without distraction, deeper patterns become visible. Old worries resurface, restlessness increases. A subtle fear appears, the fear of not doing, not achieving, not moving forward. This is why the mind resists slowing down. It associates movement with safety. Stillness feels uncertain.
Meditation does not argue with this resistance. It does not try to overpower it. It simply notices it. Resistance itself becomes an object of awareness. The tightness in the chest, the urge to check something, the thought that says, "I don't like this." Nothing needs to be changed. When resistance is seen clearly, it begins to soften. Not immediately, not dramatically, but steadily. From a Buddhist understanding, awareness is larger than resistance. resistance. Resistance arises within awareness and dissolves within it. It does not need to be defeated. Busy people often believe they must push through discomfort to benefit from meditation. But pushing recreates
the same pattern that caused exhaustion in the first place. Instead, practice asks for a different strength. The strength to stay without forcing. To let discomfort be present without reacting. This is where meditation deepens. Not in moments of calm, but in moments of resistance met with gentleness. Over time, the mind learns something new. That slowing down does not erase purpose. That pausing does not lead to collapse. That nothing essential is lost when urgency loosens its grip. The resistance does not disappear forever. It returns, but each time it returns, it is met with more understanding and less fear, and slowly, what once felt threatening begins to feel familiar. Not because life became slower, but because the mind learned it can remain present without running. When people slow down, restlessness often appears first. The body wants to move. The mind wants stimulation. There is an urge to check something, fix something, do something. Most people interpret this as a sign that meditation is not for them. But from a Buddhist perspective, restlessness is not an obstacle. It is information. Restlessness shows you how deeply the habit of movement is ingrained. It reveals how unfamiliar stillness has become. The mistake is trying to get rid of restlessness the moment you label it as a problem.
The mind tightens, resistance increases, the body becomes more tense. Instead, meditation invites curiosity. What does restlessness actually feel like? Is it in the legs, the chest, the hands? Is it a pressure, a vibration, a pulling sensation? By turning toward restlessness instead of away from it, something shifts. The mind stops fighting. The body stops bracing. From a Buddhist understanding, awareness does not require comfort. It requires honesty. Restlessness can be known just as clearly as calm. When restlessness is allowed, it changes, not because you forced it to stop, but because it was finally given space. Often, restlessness is not energy that needs release. It is energy that has been ignored. When you feel it directly, without trying to escape, it begins to settle on its own. Busy people are especially unfamiliar with this. They are used to responding to restlessness immediately by moving faster, filling space, adding stimulation. Meditation offers a different response, staying. Staying does not mean freezing. It means not acting on impulse. You can still adjust posture. You can still open your eyes. You can still take a deeper breath. What you are not doing is running away. This teaches the nervous system something important. That sensation can be felt without danger. That urgency does not always require action. Over time, restlessness loses its authority. It still appears, but it no longer controls behavior automatically. You gain choice.
This is a quiet form of freedom. Not dramatic, not obvious, but deeply stabilizing. Working with restlessness builds resilience. It prepares the mind for stillness without struggle. It makes longer practice possible without force. And most importantly, it carries into daily life. You become less reactive, less rushed,
more capable of pausing before acting. Not because restlessness disappeared, but because you learned how to be with it. That is the skill meditation develops. Not control, but relationship. At some point, meditation may stop feeling difficult and start feeling boring. Nothing dramatic happens. No insight appears. The breath feels ordinary. The mind says, that's it. Many people quit at this stage. They assume boredom means means the practice is no longer working. But from a Buddhist perspective, boredom is not a problem. It is a threshold. Boredom appears when stimulation is removed. The mind, used to constant input, no longer knows what to grasp. Without novelty, it feels uneasy, restless, uninterested. This is important to understand. Boredom is not the absence of awareness. It is the absence of distraction. The mind has been trained to equate interest with stimulation. When stimulation drops, the mind labels the experience as boring, but awareness itself has not disappeared. It has simply become subtle. Meditation does not aim to entertain the mind. It aims to reveal how dependent the mind has become on constant change. When boredom arises, the instinct is to escape, to check something, to add stimulation, to move on. But staying with boredom gently changes the relationship with experience. If you look closely, boredom is not a single feeling. It is a collection of sensations, or a heaviness, a dullness, a quiet resistance. When these are noticed directly, boredom begins to dissolve into simpler elements. From a Buddhist understanding, this is where depth begins. When the mind stops chasing interest, awareness has space to settle. The practice becomes less about experience and more about presence. Busy people often fear boredom because it feels unproductive, but boredom is not wasted time. It is the mind learning to rest without entertainment. This rest is different from pleasure. It is quieter, less exciting, but more stable. Meditation does not promise constant insight or calm. It offers familiarity with ordinary experience. And ordinary experience, when fully known anew, is no longer boring. The breath becomes interesting not because it changes, but because attention deepens. Sensation becomes vivid, not because it intensifies, but because it is no longer overlooked. When boredom is met without resistance, something subtle happens, or the urge to escape weakens. The mind becomes less demanding. Contentment no longer depends on novelty. This carries into daily life. You become less restless, less driven by constant stimulation, more at ease with simple moments. So when meditation feels boring, nothing has gone wrong. You are simply passing from stimulation to stillness. And that transition, though quiet, is where real stability begins. After restlessness and boredom, another challenge appears. The challenge of simplicity. The mind says, this can't be enough. There must be more to it. I'm probably doing it wrong. The modern mind is conditioned to expect complexity. Systems, progressions, techniques layered on top of techniques. When meditation remains simple, the mind doubts its value. But from a Buddhist perspective, simplicity is not a lack, it is refinement. Meditation is simple because awareness itself is simple. It does not need to be improved, enhanced, or complicated. It only needs to be recognized. Trusting simplicity feels uncomfortable at first. It removes the sense of control. There is no metric to track, no visible achievement, nothing to optimize. For busy people, this can feel unsettling.
Productivity is familiar. Effort feels safe. Simplicity feels exposed. Yet simplicity is where stability grows. When practice is simple, it becomes repeatable. When it is repeatable, it becomes consistent. And consistency changes the mind more deeply than intensity ever could. Complex practices often collapse under pressure.
Simple ones survive. This is why the most effective meditation practices can be described in a few words. Notice the breath. Feel the body. Return when distracted. The mind resists this because it wants reassurance. It wants to know that something is happening. But the deepest changes rarely announce themselves. From a Buddhist understanding, insight unfolds quietly. It shows up as less reactivity, more patience, a softer relationship with thought. These shifts are subtle, but they are real. Trusting simplicity means allowing practice to work on its own timeline. It means releasing the need to measure progress.
It means accepting that presence does not need improvement. When simplicity is trusted, meditation stops feeling fragile. You no longer worry about losing it. You know you can return at any moment without preparation. This trust carries into daily life. You stop overcomplicating situations. You respond more directly. You waste less energy
Resisting what is already happening. Simplicity does not make life smaller. It makes it clearer, and clarity supports everything else. As Chuang 4 moves toward its close, one thing becomes clear. The mind does not need to be fixed. It needs to be met. Again and again. Simply, that meeting, when trusted, is enough. At some point, many people realize something quietly. They are not practicing meditation the way they imagined they should. The sessions are uneven. Attention wanders. Some days feel clear, others feel scattered, and a subtle disappointment appears. The mind says, I should be better at this by now. From a Buddhist perspective,
This thought is one of the final obstacles, not because it is harmful, but because it misunderstands the nature of practice. Meditation is not a performance. There is no correct version you are trying to reach. There is only the honest meeting with what is happening now. Perfection is a concept the mind brings in from other areas of life.
work, achievement, improvement. When it enters meditation, it creates tension. The practice becomes something to get right instead of something to return to. Imperfect practice is not weak practice. It is real practice. When attention wanders and you notice it, awareness has already done its work. When you feel distracted, restless, or bored, or resistant, and you stay anyway, the practice is alive. From a Buddhist understanding, the path is not a straight line. It is a spiral. You encounter the same patterns again and again, but with slightly more clarity each time. Busy people often believe they need ideal conditions to practice well.
Air, silence, time for energy, but real life rarely provides these consistently. This is why letting practice be imperfect is essential. Imperfect practice adapts. It survives interruptions. It continues on tired days. It remains accessible when motivation is low. When you stop demanding
Perfection. Something opens. The practice feels lighter, more forgiving, easier to return to. You no longer measure success by how focused you were. You measure it by whether you showed up at all. This shift protects meditation from becoming another source of pressure. It keeps practice sustainable over time. And sustainability is what allows meditation to do its deeper work. As Chuang 4 comes to an end, one understanding stands out. The mind does not need to be controlled, perfected, or mastered. It needs to be met with patience. Meditation matures, not through flawless attention, but through gentle persistence, returning when you forget,
staying when it is uncomfortable, allowing imperfection without self-judgment. That is what keeps practice alive in a busy life. And that is what prepares you for the next step. Learning how to build a simple, realistic routine that fits naturally into your day. At this stage, meditation no longer needs inspiration.
It needs structure that fits real life. Not an ideal day, a normal one. Most people fail at routines because they aim too high. They design practices that require motivation, discipline, and uninterrupted time. Busy lives rarely offer those consistently. From a Buddhist perspective, a good routine does not rely on willpower. It relies on cues that already exist. The goal is not to meditate more. The goal is to remember more often. A realistic routine has three qualities. It is short, it is flexible, and it is anchored to daily habits you already have. Begin with the morning. Not after you wake up fully. Not after checking your phone.
The routine starts at the first moment of awareness, before standing up, before reaching for anything. Take 3 conscious breaths. Feel the body lying or sitting. Feel the breath moving. That is enough. This takes less than 1 minute, but it sets the tone. It reminds the mind that presence comes first,
not stimulation. Next is the middle of the day. Do not schedule this. Attach it to a transition you already have. Before lunch, after a meeting, before opening a new task. Pause for 30 seconds. Feel the body. Notice the breath. Release obvious tension. This is not a break from work. It is a reset within work. Finally, the evening. The evening practice is not for discipline. It is for closure. Before sleep, sit or lie down and notice the breath for 3 to 5 minutes. No technique, no goal. Let the day settle. If the mind is busy, let it be busy. You are not reviewing the day. You are letting it end. From a Buddhist understanding,
routine is not about repetition for its own sake. It is about creating reliable points of return, moments when awareness knows where to land. Busy people often worry about missing practices, but missing is inevitable. What matters is that the routine is forgiving enough to resume without friction. This routine works because it respects reality.
It does not ask for silence, energy, or special conditions. Ketsuder. It asks only for brief honesty, repeated gently. As this structure settles in, meditation stops feeling like something you fit in. It becomes something that holds your day together quietly. Not by adding time, but by giving shape to the time you already have. And no routine survives real life perfectly. Meetings run late, energy drops, unexpected problems appear. Days blur together. And suddenly, the routine is gone. Most people respond to this with self-criticism. I lost it. I need to start over. I wasn't disciplined enough. From a Buddhist perspective, this reaction misses the point. A routine is not something you protect. It is something you return to. Breaking the routine is not failure. It is information. It shows you where life is tight, where energy is low, where expectations may be unrealistic. When the routine breaks, the practice does not end. It simplifies. Instead of trying to rebuild everything, return to the smallest element. One breath, one moment of awareness, one pause before reacting. That single return is enough to keep continuity alive. Busy people often think consistency means never missing a day. In reality, consistency means not abandoning the practice emotionally when you miss. The danger is not forgetting to meditate. The danger is deciding that forgetting means you are not the kind of person who can practice. Meditation does not require identity. It requires willingness. From a Buddhist understanding, continuity is internal, not external. It lives in the intention to return without judgment. Each time you come back, gently, the habit of awareness strengthens. When the routine breaks, avoid compensating. Do not double the time the next day. Do not force intensity to make up for absence. That only recreates pressure. Instead, resume at the same small scale. 3 breaths in the morning, 30 seconds at a transition. A few minutes before sleep, if possible. If not, one breath still counts. This flexibility is what makes a routine sustainable over months and years. Rigid structures collapse under stress. Adaptive ones endure. Over time, you begin to trust something important. That meditation does not disappear when conditions change. It adjusts. The routine becomes less like a schedule and more like a rhythm. It pauses, it resumes, it bends without breaking. And when practice is held this way, busy life no longer threatens it. Life becomes the environment in which meditation learns to survive.
Not perfectly, but honestly, at a certain point, something shifts quietly. You stop asking whether you practice today. You simply notice that awareness appears more often. Not because you forced it, but because the mind has learned where to return. This is when practice begins to sustain itself. From a Buddhist perspective,
this shift happens when effort relaxes. In the beginning, practice requires reminders, structure, intention. But over time, awareness becomes familiar. Returning no longer feels like work. You pause naturally before reacting. You notice tension sooner. You take a breath without planning to. These moments are not accidents. They are signs that the habit of presence is forming. Busy people often miss this transition because they are still looking for visible progress. Longer sessions, deeper calm, clear milestones. But meditation rarely announces its effects that way. Its influence is indirect. You may notice that stress passes more quickly, that mistakes don't linger as long, that interruptions feel less personal, that the body recovers faster after difficult days. These are not dramatic changes. They are functional ones. From a Buddhist understanding, this is how practice integrates into life, not by creating a separate meditation mode, but by softening the boundary between practice and daily activity. Routine supports this integration early on, but eventually, routine becomes less central. Awareness no longer depends on a specific time or place. This does not mean you stop practicing formally. It means formal practice is no longer the only place where meditation exists. For busy people, this stage is especially important because it confirms something essential. That meditation is not fragile. It does not disappear when life becomes demanding. It adapts. The key is not to interfere with this process by adding pressure. When practice begins to sustain itself, let it. Trust the simplicity that brought you here. If you notice yourself wanting to do more, pause. Ask whether that impulse comes from curiosity or from insecurity. Often doing less at this stage allows practice to deepen naturally. Meditation matures when it is given room to breathe. As Chuang 5 continues, the focus shifts away from building routine and toward maintaining a healthy long-term relationship with practice. One that can last through busy seasons, changing priorities, and the unpredictable nature of life. Not by effort alone, but by understanding. As time goes on, the challenge is no longer starting a practice. It is keeping it alive without turning it into another obligation. Many people lose meditation not because they stop believing in it, but because they begin to relate to it the same way they relate to work. Something to maintain, something to keep up with, something they feel behind on. From a Buddhist perspective, this is where practice quietly weakens. Meditation stays alive when it remains responsive, not rigid, when it adjusts to the seasons of your life instead of resisting them. There will be periods when practice feels strong, clear, supportive,
and there will be periods when it feels distant or irregular. This fluctuation is natural.
It does not mean anything has gone wrong. What matters is how you respond when practice fades into the background. Say, instead of trying to reclaim the past version of your routine, return to the present one. Ask a simpler question. What is possible right now? Not what was possible before. Not what should be possible. Only what is available. Sometimes that is a few minutes in the morning. Sometimes it is a single breath before sleep. Sometimes it is just noticing tension and softening it once during the day. These small acts keep the relationship alive. Busy people often think long-term practice requires
Increasing effort over time. In reality, it often requires less ambition, less comparison, less pressure to progress. Meditation matures when it becomes ordinary, when it no longer needs special motivation, when it no longer feels separate from the rest of your life, when it is simply part of how you meet experience.
From a Buddhist understanding, this ordinariness is not a loss of depth. It is depth integrated. Practice stays alive when it is nourished by kindness toward yourself. When you allow it to change shape as your life changes. When you trust that awareness does not disappear just because attention shifts elsewhere for a while. The most reliable way to keep practice alive is to keep it honest. Let it reflect your actual life, not your ideal one. Let it be light enough to return to without resistance. As Chuang 5 comes to its close, one principle stands out. Meditation does not survive through force.
It survives through flexibility, and flexibility is what allows awareness to remain present, even as everything else continues to move. At some point, something subtle happens. You stop thinking about meditation as something you do and begin to notice it as something that happens. Not during a session, not in a quiet room,
but in the middle of life. You pause before speaking. You notice tension before it turns into reaction. You feel the breath without trying to. This is not because you are practicing more. It is because practice is no longer separate. From a Buddhist perspective, this is a natural shift. Meditation was never meant to remain confined to technique. Technique is a doorway. Awareness is what walks through it. When meditation integrates, it stops asking for special time. It shows up in ordinary moments, while listening, while deciding, while waiting. This is often when people underestimate their progress.
They think, I'm not meditating as much anymore. But what has changed is not the presence of awareness. It is the form it takes. Awareness has become functional. It helps you notice when you are rushing, when you are avoiding, when you are tightening against experience. And in those moments, you have a choice.
Busy people feel this shift most clearly under pressure. A difficult conversation, an unexpected delay, a mistake. Instead of immediate reaction, there is a brief gap. That gap is meditation at work. From a Buddhist understanding, freedom is not the absence of challenge. It is the presence of space in the middle of it. Space to respond instead of react. When meditation integrates, life does not become calm all the time. But the struggle around difficulty softens. You stop fighting what is already happening. This does not make you passive. It makes you precise. Actions become cleaner. Words become fewer. Decisions feel less tangled.
Not because you are detached, but because you are present. At this stage, formal meditation still has value, but it is no longer the center. It supports integration rather than defining it. This is why trying to measure progress can be misleading. The real signs are subtle. Quicker recovery after stress, less rumination, more ease with uncertainty. Meditation begins to change how you live, not by adding something new, but by removing unnecessary resistance. As Chuang 6 continues, the focus will be on recognizing these changes without clinging to them.
Learning how to let meditation shape your life quietly, without turning it into another identity or achievement. Because when awareness becomes ordinary, it becomes durable. And that durability is what allows it to stay with you, even when life becomes demanding again. Most difficulty in daily life does not come from what happens. It comes from how quickly the mind reacts.
A comment feels personal. A delay feels frustrating. A mistake feels threatening. Before you realize it, the body tightens and the response is already forming. From a Buddhist perspective, this is not a character flaw. It is conditioning. The mind has learned to protect itself through speed. React first, feel, think later.
Meditation does not remove this conditioning overnight. What it does is introduce a pause, not a long pause, often just a fraction of a second. But that fraction is enough. When awareness is present, reaction is no longer automatic. You notice the tightening before the words come out. You feel the surge before it turns into action. That noticing creates space. In that space, something new becomes possible. Choice. You may still speak firmly. You may still set boundaries. You may still act decisively. But the action comes from clarity, not from reflex. This is one of the most practical effects of meditation for busy people. It does not slow life down. It prevents unnecessary damage. Conversations become cleaner. Conflicts de-escalate sooner. Regret becomes less frequent. From a Buddhist understanding, this space between stimulus and response is where freedom lives. Not freedom from life, but freedom within it. The important point is this. You do not need to eliminate reaction to respond wisely. Reaction may still arise. Thoughts may still appear. Emotions may still surge. What changes is your relationship to them. You no longer believe every impulse needs to be followed. You no longer assume urgency equals importance. This shift is subtle, but it compounds. Over time, the nervous system learns that it does not need to stay on constant alert. It begins to trust that awareness will notice what matters. Busy people often feel this change first in stressful situations. Things that once triggered immediate tension now create a brief pause.
That pause is not passive. It is intelligent. It allows you to see more clearly what is actually being asked of you in that moment. Meditation integrates at this level not as a technique, but as a capacity. A capacity to stay present when it matters most. As Chuang 6 continues, the focus will move deeper into how this capacity reshapes identity,
priorities, and the way you relate to time itself. Because when reaction loosens its grip, life begins to feel less urgent and more workable without anything external needing to change. Most people feel chased by time. There is never enough of it, and whatever there is feels already spent. This feeling does not come from the clock. It comes from the mind's relationship with time. From a Buddhist perspective, the problem is not that time moves quickly. It is that the mind rarely stays where time actually is. The mind lives ahead, planning, anticipating, rehearsing. Meditation does not slow time down. It brings the mind back into alignment with it. When awareness is present, time feels different. Moments feel fuller. Transitions feel cleaner. The day feels less fragmented.
This is not because there is more time. It is because there is less mental leakage. Busy people often notice this shift quietly. They stop saying, "Where did the day go?"
They feel more present during the same number of hours. From a Buddhist understanding, this is a return from psychological time to lived time. Psychological time is the constant projection into past and future. Lived time is direct experience. Meditation trains the mind to recognize the difference. When you are aware, you are not rushing toward the next moment. You are inside this one. And when you are inside this one, the next arrives naturally. Urgency begins to soften, not because deadlines disappear, but because panic is no longer added on top. This changes how you work. You focus more fully. You recover more quickly.
It also changes how you rest. Rest becomes rest, not preparation for the next task. From a Buddhist perspective, freedom is not having unlimited time. It is being fully present in the time you have. When meditation integrates, you stop measuring your life in units of productivity alone. You begin to notice quality of presence.
This does not make you less effective. It makes your effort more precise. You stop rushing through moments to get to the next one. You stop postponing presence to later. Time becomes something you participate in, not something you fight. As Chuang 6 continues, the focus will turn toward identity. How meditation loosens the sense of being a constantly busy person without removing responsibility or ambition. Because when your relationship with time changes, your relationship with yourself begins to change as well. For many people, busyness becomes more than a habit. It becomes an identity. I'm busy is not just a description.
It is a sense of who you are. Productive, needed, important from a Buddhist perspective. This identity is fragile. It depends on constant motion to sustain itself. When activity slows, uncertainty appears. Who am I if I'm not rushing? Who am I if I'm not needed? Right now, meditation does not strip this identity away forcefully. It loosens it gently as awareness grows. You begin to notice that busyness is something you experience, not something you are. It comes and goes, it intensifies and fades, but it does not define the whole of you.
This realization can feel unsettling at first. The mind is used to measuring worth through output. When that measurement softens, there is a moment of emptiness. But this emptiness is not loss. It is space. In that space, a quieter sense of self becomes visible, one that is not built on urgency or performance, one that does not need constant validation through activity.
From a Buddhist understanding, this is a return to what is already present beneath roles and momentum. Awareness itself does not need to be busy to exist. It is stable even when life is not demanding. Busy people often fear that letting go of constant busyness will make them less effective or less driven. In reality, the opposite often happens. When identity is no longer tied to speed, action becomes cleaner. You do what needs to be done without proving anything. Effort becomes simpler. You stop filling silence with activity. You stop equating stillness with laziness. This shift is subtle. Others may not notice it immediately, but internally, there is less pressure to perform and more freedom to choose. From a Buddhist perspective, this is not about rejecting ambition or responsibility. It is about releasing the belief that your value depends on constant movement. Meditation reveals that presence is enough to be whole. Action can arise from that wholeness rather than from insecurity. As this understanding deepens, busyness loses its grip as an identity. It becomes just one condition among many. And when life speeds up again, as it inevitably will, You no longer lose yourself in it completely. You remain present within motion. And that presence becomes a quiet, stable center you can return to.
No matter how full your schedule becomes, when people hear the word discipline, they often think of force and pushing through resistance, holding themselves to a standard, doing what they don't want to do. But meditation reveals a different kind of discipline, one that does not come from pressure, but from understanding, from a Buddhist perspective. True discipline arises naturally when the mind sees clearly what creates suffering and what reduces it. You do not need to force yourself to avoid what harms you once you recognize it directly. This is what effortless discipline feels like. You pause before reacting, not because you should,
but because you can feel the cost of not pausing. You return to awareness, not out of obligation, but because it genuinely helps. Busy people often struggle with discipline because they rely on willpower. Willpower is limited. It exhausts itself. Effortless discipline, on the other hand, is sustained by insight. When meditation integrates, you no longer need reminders to practice constantly. The body and mind begin to choose presence on their own because they have learned its value. This does not mean you become perfectly consistent.
It means you become naturally inclined toward what supports clarity. You stop forcing long sessions when energy is low. You stop abandoning practice when life gets busy. Instead, you adapt without drama. Effortless discipline shows up as honesty. You practice when you can. You return when you forget. You do not negotiate endlessly with yourself or punish yourself for inconsistency.
From a Buddhist understanding, this balance is wisdom in action. It avoids both extremes, indulgence and self-control. Practice becomes sustainable because it is aligned with reality. This kind of discipline is quiet. Others may not see it. There are no visible markers of progress, but internally, life feels less chaotic
and more workable. You begin to trust yourself more, not because you are stricter, but because you are more aware. You know when to push and when to rest, when to engage and when to pause. As Chuang 6 comes to an end, one principle stands out clearly. Meditation does not ask you to become more disciplined through force. It invites you to become more disciplined through understanding. And understanding does not need effort to sustain itself. It sustains you. Many people come to meditation with a quiet assumption that something in their life must change first. The schedule needs to open up. The pressure needs to ease. The noise needs to settle. Only then, they believe, meditation will work. But from a Buddhist perspective, this assumption reverses the truth. You do not meditate because life is calm. Life becomes more workable because you meditate. You do not need a different job, a quieter home, to a less demanding role. You need a different relationship with what is already here. Throughout this journey, one theme has returned again and again. Presence does not require ideal conditions. It requires recognition. The willingness to meet this moment without adding resistance. Busy life is not the enemy of meditation. Avoidance is. When you stop waiting for the right time, practice becomes possible everywhere. In movement, in pressure, in uncertainty, even in fatigue. This does not mean life becomes easy. It means life becomes honest. From a Buddhist understanding, suffering is not created by responsibility or effort. It is created by the habit of leaving experience while it is happening. Meditation trains you to stay. Staying does not trap you. It frees you. You become less driven by urgency and more guided by clarity.
You respond instead of react. You rest without guilt. You act without proving. This is not a dramatic transformation. Others may not notice immediately, but internally,
The struggle quiets. You stop negotiating with life. You stop postponing presence. And in that simplicity, something essential returns. A sense of being at home in your own experience. This is why meditation does not ask you to step away from your life. It asks you to inhabit it more fully, to stop waiting for permission to be present. As this closing chapter continues, the invitation is simple: not to do more, not to achieve something new, but to recognize what has already been available all along, right here, in the middle of your life. Many people still hold a quiet image of peace, a future version of themselves, calm, unbothered, finally finished.
from a Buddhist perspective, this image creates distance. It places peace somewhere else, somewhere later. But peace is not a destination you arrive at when life is resolved. It is a way of relating to what is unresolved. When you stop chasing a future state, something shifts. You begin to notice moments of ease already woven into your day.
Small pauses, brief softenings, natural breaths. These moments are not incomplete. They are not previews of something better. They are peace in its ordinary form. Busy people often overlook this because peace does not announce itself loudly. It does not override difficulty. It coexists with it. You can feel pressure and still be present. You can feel tired and still be at ease. You can feel uncertainty without being lost in it. Meditation reveals this quietly, not by removing challenge, but by changing your relationship to it. From a Buddhist understanding, peace is not the absence of disturbance.
It is the absence of resistance to disturbance. When resistance softens, energy frees itself. You stop bracing against what is already happening. You stop spending effort on arguing with reality. This does not make you passive. It makes you available. Available to respond clearly. Available to rest when rest is possible. Available to act without carrying unnecessary weight. Peace only in this sense, is not fragile. It does not disappear when life becomes busy again. It adapts. This is why meditation remains relevant even when practice feels ordinary. Even when sessions are short.
Even when awareness appears only briefly. Those brief moments are not setbacks. They are the practice expressing itself in a realistic life. As this chapter moves toward its close, one understanding stands steady. You are not moving toward peace. You are learning to stop moving away from it. And that movement away from resistance, away from struggle, away from constant urgency is something you can notice in any moment, even now. At the end of all this, there is nothing new to add. No final technique, no instruction to remember, no ideal version of yourself to become. What you have been learning is not how to do meditation better. It is how to stop stepping away from your own experience. From a Buddhist perspective, awakening does not arrive as an achievement. It arrives as a cessation. The cessation of unnecessary struggle. You stop forcing calm. You stop chasing peace. You stop measuring your worth by how busy you are. And in that stopping, something very ordinary becomes clear. You are already here. Breathing is already happening. Awareness is already present. Life is already unfolding. Nothing needs to be improved for presence to exist. This does not mean life becomes perfect. It means life becomes honest. You still have responsibilities. You still feel pressure. You still get tired.
But you are no longer lost inside those experiences. You are with them. For a busy person, this is not a small shift. It changes how effort feels, how rest feels, how time feels. You stop asking when life will finally allow you to slow down. You realize slowing down was never about time. It was about permission.
Permission to feel one breath fully. Permission to pause without justification. Permission to be present without earning it. Meditation, in the end, is not something you carry with you. It is something you stop carrying away. The future no longer has to deliver peace. The present no longer has to be escaped. There is nothing dramatic here. No promise of constant calm. No guarantee of ease. Only a quiet confidence that no matter how full your schedule becomes, no matter how fast life moves, there is always a way back. Not through effort, not through control, but through noticing. And noticing does not take time. It only takes this moment, and this one, and this one.